بلينكين كاتب الدولة الأمريكية ورحمة المغرب. كلنا سعداء بلقائه الأول رسمية لكاتب الدولة الأمريكي في الإمارات الحالية والمملكة المغربية. وفق رؤية جلالة الملك محمد السادس العلاقة المغربية الأمريكية هي قائمة على شراكة طموحة ومتطورة. علاقة قائمة كذلك على علاقة شخصية مع سيدة جلالة الملك محمد السادس وفخامة الرئيس جو بايدن منذ لقائه مع السيد كاتب الدولة التقينا أمس في النبع بإسرائيل الحديث حول كيفية دعم المالية الإيجابية للمتحدة. نجتمع اليوم في إطار اجتماعي لتوزيع علاقات الاجتماعية. شهر مايو سنلتقي مجددا في إطار تحالف دولي بتدعم ولدعم جهودنا المشتركة في مكافحة الإرهاب والتطرف الاجتماعي. في شهر يونيو سيقيم المغرب والولايات المتحدة السرية العسكري أفريقيا الغربية الذي يعد أحد أهم أدوات التعاون. وفي شهر يوليو سنحتضن المنتدى الاقتصادي الأمريكي في مدينة مبارزة. كل هذا يدل على قرار مضمون الشراكة المغربية على بنائها وعلى تنوعها التهجير الشمال السياسي والأمني والعسكري والاقتصادي. هي شراكة تتجاوز إطارنا الثنائي وغيرها من مناطق العالم. شراكتنا هي شراكة قوية قائمة على قيم مشتركة، قائمة على مصالح مشتركة، قائمة على رؤية متطابقة بمجموعة من القضايا الدولية والإقليمية. هناك حرص قوي من جلالة الملك محمد السادس على أن تتطور هذه العلاقة في إطار الآليات المهمة التي نتوقعها. حوار استراتيجي عقدناه منذ أسبوعين دورة من هذا مع السيد بشأن الحوار حول حقوق الإنسان. عقدنا كذلك دورتين في الفترة الماضية. اتفاق تبادل الحقوق الذي يعد اتفاق الرئيس للولايات المتحدة مع الدولة الأمريكية والذي أعطى نتائج إيجابية على مستوى تطوير العلاقات الإيجابية بين بلدينا، ونأمل أن يكون له أيضا طريقة في مجال الاستثمارات الأمريكية في مصر. باتفاق ميثاق الأمريكية والذي أعطى كذلك مساهمة إيجابية في مجهود تنموي في المملكة المغربية. وفي إطار كذلك آليات التعاون الأمني والعسكري القوية والمنتجة لمبادرات متعددة بين المغرب والولايات المتحدة. اليوم تحدثنا في كل هذه الأمور شراكتنا الثنائية لتصبح شراكة نموذجية قوية بعلاقاتها التاريخية ولكن على التأقلم مع التحديات الدولية والإقليمية الحالية. تحدثنا حول تحديات الشرق الأوسط ونشكر الولايات المتحدة كطرف في الاتفاق الثلاثي الموقع أمام جلالة الملك في ديسمبر 2020 والذي عادت من خلاله المملكة المغربية علاقاتها مع إسرائيل. هذا الاتفاق أنتج نتائج إيجابية ويمكن أن يعطي أكثر في إطار مشاريع ملموسة مفيدة لشعوب المنطقة وللشعبين المغربي والإسرائيلي. ولكن الاتفاق الثلاثي المغربي الأمريكي الإسرائيلي هو كذلك رسالة إلى الحاجة إلى حل دائم وعادل في الشرق الأوسط في إطار حل الدولتين وبإقامة دولة فلسطينية في قدس 69 وعاصمتها القدس الشرقية تأنشؤ جنبا إلى جنب مع دولة إسرائيل، وفي إطار رؤية جلالة الملك رئيس لجنة القدس لمدينة محتضنة لكل الديانات، مدينة للحوار والتعايش. تحدثنا حول شراكتنا في إفريقيا لمواجهة التحديات الممكنة، ولكن لاستغلال الفرص الكثيرة في إفريقيا، فرص في المجال الاقتصادي والتجاري، فرص في مجال التغيرات المناخية، فرص في مجال التجارة، مجال البنية التحتية، في مجال الأمن والعسكري، في مجال الصحة وغيرها. إفريقيا مجال خاص للتعاون الأمريكي المغربي، وكذلك منطقة شمال إفريقيا والساحل، وهناك كذلك تحديات مهمة. هناك توترات يجب معالجتها، وهناك تحديات أمنية يجب التعامل معها بشكل جميع. أظن زيارتك هي زيارة مهمة، أعطت رسائل واضحة حول قوة هذه الشراكة وحول الإمكانيات التي يمكن استغلالها في إطار هذه الشراكة لمصلحة بلدينا وشعبينا، ولكن كذلك لمصلحة الأمن والاستقرار والتنمية في مناطق نعتبرها مهمة لنا ومهمة لكم. مرة أخرى شكرا على الزيارة وما قدمتم.
Prime Minister, Nasser, thank you. It's really good to be with you once again. It feels like it was only yesterday. Indeed, we just came from the historic Mega Summit, and together with our partners from Bahrain, from Egypt, the United Arab Emirates, and Israel, we discussed, as Nasser said, a wide range of areas where we can seize on normalization to make a positive impact on the lives of our people. It's an effort that quite simply would not have been possible were it not for the courage and vision of leaders like His Majesty King Mohammed VI to break down long-standing barriers. And I'm committed to working with the Foreign Minister and all our friends here and across the region to make this vision real, translating it into more opportunities for people and further widening the circle of friendship. Now, while integration among some of these countries is new, the diplomatic relationship between Morocco and the United States dates back more than 240 years. And its depth and breadth are reflected in everything we discussed today, and Nasser touched on a lot of these issues. For more than 15 years, our free trade agreement has benefited people and companies in both of our countries and beyond. Today, we discussed how we can continue to grow our economic cooperation, in particular, to benefit underserved populations. For example, we're in the fifth and final year of what is a $460 million compact administered by the U.S. Millennium Challenge Corporation. That's provided jobs and education opportunities for young people, boosted agricultural productivity, expanded land rights for women. The compact includes a partnership with Morocco's Ministry of Education that is piloting a model aimed at improving secondary education in 90 secondary schools across the country, training some 6,000 teachers and administrators, making investments in the school's infrastructure and in its technology. Just last week, our officials came together and broke ground on a major expansion of the industrial zone in Buznika, backed by a public-private partnership, and that is expected to generate some 4,000 jobs. Partners show up for each other in difficult times. And as Morocco experiences one of the worst droughts in decades, we're doing what we can to help. Now, I tried to do what I could to help by bringing a little rain with you today, but that's clearly not enough. We have experts from the State Department and the Department of the Interior consulting directly with their Moroccan counterparts on immediate steps to diminish the drought's impact and to increase water conservation. Tomorrow, we're hosting a conference in Casablanca that will bring together your top water management companies with some experts in the United States to focus on how this country can better produce, use, and conserve its water resources. And going back long before this drought, we've been working to build greater capacity in the country to try to predict, prepare for, and mitigate the worst impacts of droughts, and to train rising generations of Moroccan water management experts. The drought's already affected agricultural production. We know raising the cost of food. Now, the natural disaster is being worsened by a man-made disaster, as the Russian government and its brutal war in Ukraine has disrupted the supply of wheat and other commodities. Here, across the region, we're discussing concrete steps we can take and our partners can take to help reduce the impact of these shortages, particularly on the most vulnerable populations. This disruption is another reason we continue to urge our friends and partners to speak out with one voice in condemning the Russian government's aggression, the consequences of which are being felt around the world, and hold the Kremlin accountable for as long as this continues. The increasing frequency and severity of droughts and other extreme weather here in the United States and around the world also underscores the urgency of our collective efforts to address the climate crisis. And in this, Morocco is a world leader, setting an ambitious target of achieving 63% renewable energy by 2035. With 45% of the country's electricity production already coming from renewables, Morocco is on track to meet this ambitious target and even exceed it. Morocco also signed the Global Methane Pledge at COP26. And at COP22, the Kingdom founded 3 African-wide commissions: the Congo Basin Commission, the Sahel Commission, the Small Island Nations Commission, and continues to lead climate finance and feasibility studies for all 3 of them. We've also worked side by side in combating the COVID-19 pandemic. We've been able to donate more than 2.5 million safe, effective vaccines to Morocco through the COVAX initiative over the last several months alone. And since the outset of the pandemic, we've been working closely with the Moroccan Ministry of Health and other partners to train health workers, provide PPE and essential lab equipment, and enhance Morocco's vaccine cold chain, all of which has helped contribute to a very effective response led by His Majesty to COVID here in Morocco. And Morocco is also now contributing to the efforts that other countries are making, something we greatly appreciate. We launched a $3 million partnership with the Pasteur Institute of Morocco to strengthen global health security capacity so that we can prepare for, respond to, and deal with infectious disease in the future. We support King Mohammed VI's ambitious reform agenda to strengthen Morocco's institutions and ensure government is responsive to the Moroccan people. The United States is committed to working with Morocco to make concrete progress in key areas, advancing the right to freedom of expression and association, criminal justice reform, women's rights and gender equality, government transparency, which the Foreign Minister and I had an opportunity to discuss today. We also discussed security. The United States recognizes the important role that Morocco plays in maintaining regional security and stability, as well as its contribution to peace and prosperity in the region. We're collaborating closely on addressing regional issues like the Sahel and Libya, the fight against terrorism, where Morocco has demonstrated sustained leadership through the Global Counterterrorism Forum and the Global Terror Coalition to defeat ISIS. We very much support the work of the United Nations Personal Envoy of the Secretary General, Stéphane de Mistura, in leading the political process for Western Sahara under the auspices of the United Nations to promote a peaceful and prosperous future for the people of Western Sahara and the region, and we appreciate Morocco's support for this mission. We continue to view Morocco's autonomy plan as serious, credible, and realistic, and one potential approach could meet the aspirations of the people of Western Sahara. Let me just conclude by wishing early Ramadan Kareem to the people of Morocco and around the world who will celebrate the holy month starting in just a few days. And I wish our Moroccan friends, I shouldn't say this, I'm going to wish you good luck in the World Cup qualifying match. That's not fair to the other side. If we wish both sides good luck, it will wind up in a tie, but that's good for Morocco. So, Nasser, thank you for hosting us. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your friendship.
Now, questions for the press. We'll take the first one from Fedon Rabti, Wذات TV.
مساء الخير. فدوى مرابطي مراسلة قناة الولايات. الملك محمد السادس هو رئيس لجنة القدس، والمغرب يلعب أدوار تاريخية في مسألة أو في القضية الفلسطينية. اليوم وبعد استئناف العلاقات مع إسرائيل، كيف تعول الإدارة الأمريكية أو كيف تنظر إلى الدور الذي يمكن أن يقوم به المغرب في تحريك عجلة المفاوضات في القضية الفلسطينية الإسرائيلية، خاصة وأن المغرب متشبث بموقفه الذي هو حل الدولتين وحق الشعب الفلسطيني في إقامة دولة مستقلة عاصمتها القدس. شكرا.
very much. First, I was just in Israel before the meeting that we got together in Negev. I was in Jerusalem and also in Ramallah. And one of the points that I made in both Jerusalem with Israeli counterparts and Ramallah, the President Abbas, of course the United States, continued ongoing support for a two-state solution. An outcome that would meet the aspirations of the Palestinian people and their entitlement to a state of their own, as well as, of course, ensuring the security of Israel and its strength as a Jewish and democratic state. The normalization agreements and the work that Morocco and other countries are doing with Israel is not a substitute for this outcome of the two states, but it can, I believe, reinforce it. In our discussions yesterday in the Negev, all of the partners in this enterprise, including Morocco, including the United States, talked about the need to advance that prospect and that horizon. But in the meantime, to do concrete things to help improve the lives of Palestinians. And this is exactly one of the things that the work we're doing through the partnership that now exists among the countries that participated in the Negev Summit. That's exactly one of the things that we're focused on. And we were talking in very concrete ways about initiatives that we can take together to improve the lives of the Palestinian people. At the same time, I think that Morocco's growing relationship with Israel, as well as that of other countries, will further strengthen its voice, as well as our own voice, in trying to advance the prospect of two states and improving the lives of Palestinians in that.
Our first question will go to Connor Finnegan, ABC News.
Thank you. Mr. Foreign Minister, on the Abraham Accords, the previous U.S. administration had pledged to open a consulate in Western Sahara, and yet this administration has so far not taken any steps to follow through on that. Are you concerned that the U.S. will not meet that commitment? And when we reference the Negev Summit, can you be more specific? What kinds of concrete steps is Morocco willing to keep in ties with Israel? Mr. Secretary, Russian and Ukrainian delegations met today in Turkey. You have been critical of talks with Russia so far during this war, but both sides are now openly discussing the potential terms of an agreement. So yes or no, do you believe that Russia is now engaging in genuine dialogue? The Ukrainian side has also said that any agreement must involve security guarantees by third countries. Will the U.S. get involved in talks, including by providing security guarantees? And the Ukrainian foreign minister specifically warned today to his delegation before the meetings to not eat, drink, or touch anything during the talks. Do you have any comment on the recent reports of the potential poisoning? And do you have any concern for the negotiators' safety? Thank you.
الجزء الأول من السؤال بطبيعة الحال الاتفاق الثلاثي الذي يقال وثيقة مهمة يؤدت إلى خلق دينامية في العلاقة مع إسرائيل ولكن في العلاقات كذلك الجوانب المختلفة مع الولايات المتحدة. المغرب له ثقة طويلة لأن العلاقة المغربية مع الأمريكية هي علاقة قوية، هي علاقة متواترة، وهي علاقات تسير في الاتجاه الصحيح. ولدينا ثقة بأن كل الجوانب المرتبطة بالاتفاق الثلاثي الموقع في جنبر 2020 هي قابلة للتطبيق وفق في إطار التفاهمات وفي إطار التوقيت الذي تراه الأطراف مناسب. ولكن موقف الولايات المتحدة من حكم الذاتي في إطار السيادة المغربية هو موقف ثابت منذ إطارات متتالية واستمعنا إليه كذلك اليوم. الحكم الذاتي في إطار السيادة المغربية هو الحل الوحيد التي تدعمه الولايات المتحدة وتدعمه دول أخرى، ورأينا إسبانيا مؤخرا، ألمانيا وغيرها من الدول العربية والإفريقية كلها تسير في نفس الاتجاه. إذا ثقتنا كاملة في أن المواقف متواصلة وتنفيذها أو إنزالها على أرض الواقع يخضع إلى اعتبارات يمكن الحديث فيها بيننا مباشرة. فيما يتعلق بالشق الثاني من السؤال، العلاقة المغربية الإسرائيلية كما قلت هي علاقة خاصة جدا من منطلق العلاقات القوية بين ملوك المغرب والجالية اليهودية المغربية والتي تشكل تقريبا 1,000,000 شخص من ساكنة إسرائيل. هذا واحد العنصر إيجابي يغني العلاقة المغربية الإسرائيلية. منذ التوقيع على الاتفاق الثلاثي حدثت مجموعة من الأمور، من زيارات، من اتفاقيات، من خط جوي مباشر، من تواجد بعثات دبلوماسية، من كذلك زيارات مسؤولين مختلفين. المرحلة المقبلة كما قال توني يجب أن تذهب كذلك إلى مشاريع ملموسة يراها رجل الأعمال، يراها المواطن في البلدين. يجب أن لا يكون هدف. جلالة الملك تحدث عن اختيار قناعة واختيار طبيعي. هذا اختيار القناعة والطبيعي يجب كذلك أن يقوى بمشاريع ملموسة، بمشاريع يراها المواطن، سواء في إطار الفلاحة، في إطار تقوية استعمال المياه، في إطار الأمن والاستقرار وغيرها. هذا هو الذي سيعطي إلى هذه العلاقة قوة كبيرة. رأينا في هذه الأسبوعين زيارة رجال أعمال مغاربة إلى إسرائيل والحديث مع وزرائهم هناك. كيف يمكن استثمار فرص التعاون الاقتصادي والتوقيع على الاتفاق بشأن الكواليفايد اندستريال زونز يمكن أن يشكل إطار ثلاثي للتعاون بين الأطراف، ويمكن أن يخلق فرص شغل، فرص تنمية للجميع. إذا فهذه العلاقة حققت تطور، ولكن أمامها كذلك إمكانات متعددة في المستقبل.
Connor, thank you. First on the talks. I would leave it to our Ukrainian partners to characterize whether there is any genuine progress and whether Russia is engaging meaningfully. What I can say is this. There is what Russia says, and there is what Russia does. We're focused on the latter. And what Russia is doing is the continued brutalization of Ukraine and its people. And that continues as we speak. As a result of this aggression committed by Russia, as I mentioned the other day, fully half of the children in Ukraine have been displaced from their homes. Half of the children. And of course, we've seen what is going on in Mariupol, among other places. So we're focused on what Russia does. And what it should do is end the aggression now. Stop firing, pull its forces back, and of course, engage in talks. The fact that the Ukrainians have the extraordinary courage and willingness and determination not only to stand up for their country and their futures, but to engage in these talks with a gun literally to their head, I think speaks volumes. But I would look to them to characterize whether there's anything meaningfully coming. If there is some kind of outcome, and if our support for Ukraine can be part of that outcome, including our support in the future for its defense and security, of course, that's something we'll want to pursue. But again, from what I have not seen anything that suggests that this is moving forward in an effective way, because Russia, at least we've not seen signs of real seriousness, but if Ukraine concludes that there is, that's good, and we support that. As to the stories about poisoning, I don't have any details on that. I've seen the reports. What I can say is that, of course, this raises concerns because Russia has a real track record, and you only have to go as far back as the poisonings in the UK, the bombing, and others to see why.
سؤال الشكل العلوي.
Oui, oui. Ma question s'adresse aux deux ministres. Le Royaume et les États-Unis organisent en juillet prochain à Marrakech un sommet Afrique des affaires. Comment le Maroc peut devenir une plateforme pour développer ce partenariat entre les pays africains? Merci.
كما العلاقاتنا الثنائية وشراكاتنا الثنائية عندها امتدادات إقليمية ما نقوم به في إطار شراكاتنا الثنائية مفيد لبلدينا، مفيد لاقتصادنا، مفيد لشعبنا، وكذلك له امتدادات في المجال الاقتصادي. كتعرفوا الأهمية اللي كيوليها جلالة الملك محمد السادس للقرار الأفريقي ولتحقيق التنمية والاستقرار الإقليمي. إفريقيا لو نراها ليس كعيب على المجتمع الدولي، إفريقيا هي فرصة للمجتمع الدولي. هناك فرص وإمكانيات قوية في القرار الأفريقي. إفريقيا أثبتت حتى في وقت كوفيد واحد القدرة على أنها تصمد أمام الآثار الاقتصادية للجائحة. إفريقيا عندها قوتها هي في الديموغرافية الشابة. إفريقيا قوتها عرفنا بأنها المنطقة الوحيدة اللي فيها 30 مليون شخص يلتحقوا بالطبقة المتوسطة سنويا. هذا غير موجود في أي مكان في العالم، وهذا في حد ذاته واحد الإمكانية اقتصادية مهمة. إفريقيا فيها إمكانيات للبنية التحتية، للطاقات المتجددة، للتكنولوجيا، للعديد من الأمور. إفريقيا هي فرصة. لهذا المغرب طور علاقاته بفضل رؤية جلالة الملك مع القارة الإفريقية. المغرب له اليوم حضور قوي. المغرب ثاني مستثمر إفريقي في القارة الإفريقية. اليوم كيف يمكن أن نشتغل مع شركائنا الأمريكيين؟ عندنا احنا اتفاق التبادل الحر الوحيد اللي كاين بين أمريكا ودولة إفريقية. إفريقيا داخلة في خلق منطقة للتبادل الحر قارية مصداقية. كيفاش يمكن نستعملوا اتفاق التبادل الحر الثنائي كمنصة للوصول إلى القارة الإفريقية معا؟ نحن عندنا رؤية مشتركة حول التنمية والاستقرار والازدهار في إفريقيا. كيف أن رجل الأعمال الأمريكي يمكن له انطلاقا من المغرب أو شراكة مع المغرب أنه يمتد إلى القارة الإفريقية، خاصة في جانبها الغربي والإفريقيا الغربية والوسطى. هذه كلها الإمكانيات اللي خصنا نتحدثوا فيها في إطار هذا المنتدى اللي غيكون في شهر يوليوز. المغرب هذا سي سا فوكاسيون أن يكون قنطرة ما بين شركائه وما بين القارة الإفريقية، وهو اللي غنقوموا به في هذا المنتدى إن شاء الله في شهر يوليوز.
Nasser said it extremely well, and I would add simply that I think that when we had a long conversation about this actually just today, about how we can work together more effectively in Africa, building on what we're already doing. We already have a strong security partnership when it comes to dealing with security challenges in Africa, but we want to make sure as well that we are dealing with some of the challenges that are also opportunities in building stronger global health, including in Africa, in addressing the climate challenge. And again, Morocco is a leader on this, but we can bring some of that leadership and expertise together in Africa, in pursuing infrastructure projects, and in creating opportunities for young people throughout the continent. These are all the kinds of things that we'll be talking about in a couple of months, but we already talked about today. But I think it's evidence of something very powerful in this relationship. We have a strong bilateral relationship. We work on many things directly together in the interest of both our people. We also have a strong regional partnership that you see translated in the work that we're doing throughout the region, but increasingly as well. It's truly global, because when we're working together on things like dealing with pandemics or dealing with climate change, these are of global consequence. And as a result, Morocco is really and truly a partner on the global stage for us. It's a partnership we value deeply, and this is exactly why we spent so much time today talking about how to deepen it, how to pursue it, not only between ourselves, but in different parts of the world, and notably Africa.
Our second question goes to Tamara Ahmed of Reuters.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, Foreign Minister. Mr. Secretary, just to quickly follow up on Ukraine, Russian Deputy Defense Minister said Moscow has decided to fundamentally cut back military activity in the direction of Kyiv and Chernihiv. Do you see this statement as a major shift in Russia's invasion? Has the United States over the last few days observed Russia shift its military focus from Kyiv to Donbass? And separately, you will meet with the Crown Prince later today. It is no secret that the relationship with the UAE, as well as Saudi Arabia, is at a difficult place. They snub America's calls to increase oil production. They've done little to help Ukraine. What concrete ideas are you bringing to this meeting to put the relationship back on track? And are you hopeful that it will? Mr. Foreign Minister, very quickly, earlier this month, Spain said it was backing Morocco's autonomy proposals for Western Sahara. Do you see any other EU states following suit? And also, your country, along with several others in the Middle East, haven't been very vocal for its support of Ukraine. You haven't showed up in the United Nations vote either. Why aren't you more critical of Russia? Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. Two things. First, with regard to statements. With regard to the statements on Russia's aggression, I come back to what I said a few minutes ago, which is that we're focused on what they do, not on what they say. And so I can't tell you whether these statements reflect some reorientation of the aggression to focus only, in quotation marks, Eastern and Southern Ukraine, or whether this is a means by which Russia once again is trying to deflect and deceive people into thinking it's not doing what it is doing, whether it's simply trying to regroup, given the heavy losses that it suffered. I don't know. So we're focused on what they do. I would add that if they somehow believe that an effort to subjugate only, in quotation marks, the eastern part of Ukraine or and the southern part of Ukraine can succeed, then once again they are profoundly fooling themselves. We've seen the will and the determination of the Ukrainian people to determine their own future, not to have Russia or anyone else determine it for them. And so I think that will continue to be expressed one way or another in all parts of the country. With regard to my meeting later today with the conference, it's fortuitous that we have this opportunity to take advantage of our presence here to spend some time together. I'm very much looking forward to it. We'll have an opportunity to have a truly strategic conversation about the full range of issues that we're working on together, regionally, internationally, globally. And I'll have more to say, no doubt about that tomorrow, but this is an important strategic relationship and partnership with the United States. I'm really pleased to have a chance to sit down with him. I was with the foreign minister for the last more than 24 hours in the Negev. We had an opportunity to spend some time together, and of course we're working very closely together, not only in the context of the Negev Summit, but on so many other issues. So more to say about that tomorrow, but I'm looking forward to it.
Well, first question, Spain. Of course, the letter of the Prime Minister of Spain to His Majesty expressing support to the Moroccan autonomy plan as the basis for any solution to the Sahara issue is a very positive development, and we reacted and we welcome this development, and we consider that it is, as His Majesty said, it will open a new chapter in our bilateral relations. The position of Spain is not an isolated one. There is a dynamic at the international level in support of the Moroccan autonomy as a serious, credible outcome for this regional dispute. This is the position of the United States, this is the position of Germany, this is the position of France, this is the position of the Arab countries, this is the position of the African countries and others. So that's why we think it's time for Europe maybe, and I said that before, to get out of this comfort zone where people are just supporting a process. And supporting a process doesn't mean supporting a solution. You can be comfortable in saying, yes, we will support a process, and this process could last for decades. What is important now, and why there is this dynamic, and the Westura is also part of this dynamic, is how to shift into an outcome-oriented effort. And in this regard, in different areas of the world, there is a consensus that this solution should be within Moroccan sovereignty and within the Moroccan autonomy plan. And we hope that other countries will follow to get out of this comfort zone and to be active in finding a solution instead of being passive in supporting the status quo. On Ukraine, Moroccan position is very clear, and it has been expressed in terms. We are in favor of territorial integrity and national unity of Ukraine as of all the member states of the United Nations. We are against the use of the recourse to force in settling disputes. We are in favor of constructive neighborhood relations, and we are in favor of dialogue and negotiation to solve issues. This has been our position, it is clear, and it is in line with the UN Charter, it is in line with the principles of international law in which we believe. So this position has been expressed, and we have today the opportunity to discuss more details